Welcome to Get Tied On, racing fans. I'm Tom Amello, your host. He's Michael Kipnis, the Wizard. This is our pre-Saratoga show. It's June 15th when we're taping here. I mean, there's 14 days till the July 4th festival, which Naira now holds at Saratoga. Like the Belmont at Saratoga festival recently ended, looks like this will be the last time we'll have 4th of July at Saratoga. So, Wiz, it's time to start thinking, prepping, planning, hoping, seeking out sources for the bankroll because it's Saratoga time. There's really lots to think about, I think, and lots to do. You and I have been planning for Saratoga since they opened the Keeneland meet, right?
Yeah, well, I've been actually thinking about it, doing those dreadful cards all winter at Aqueduct.
Now. You can think about it during the winter. You can think about it during the winter.
And there's a reason that I think about it that's very logical, is that the quality of racing in New York for several months was really bad. Okay. Yes. No fault of, I don't know whose fault. I'm not playing a blame game here. Lack of horses. They want to put on a show, but there's no participants. So you had a lot of small fields. You had a lot of short prices. You had a lot of unplayable races. Because of the lack of quality or substance or race dynamics in big fields, when that is different than 4 and 5 horse fields. What I thought about was the horses that are going to ship in, the fresh faces from Gulfstream, from predominantly those that don't stay at Ellis Park and decide to come from Churchill and Keeneland to Saratoga. I think they're going to be more dangerous than ever before because they raced against better quality and bigger fields. And now they're going to face, it's a longer meet, Tom. So you're going to see a lot of cheaper races. You're going to see these claimers that come in from out of town are going to be very competitive and very tough to beat. That's why Linda Rice is claiming horses all day long at Kentucky.
When you turn on your Twitter account and the topic, or one of the topics on the horse racing crowd, is the amount of money that Linda Rice has spent claiming. That's new topic, and she's it's more than $4 million.
Look, she has a business model. She's executing the business model, and she's putting up her money and other people's money to have quantity / some quality. Numbers bring you winners. Winners bring you a potential title. You have to go into Saratoga thinking that Linda Rice is a pretty big favorite to win the trainer's title.
Well, that's interesting to me. We talked about it for years. You've got the usual suspects, and there's no question in my mind that Linda Rice is a factor in every race she enters. That's not necessarily some form of overnight stake or graded stake. Over a graded stakes race. Okay. In those races, you're looking at the big boys. You're looking at the Chad Browns, the Pletchers, Miguel Clement, Mott. The fact that she's claiming horses, as you point out, makes her dangerous in every other category, and there's a bunch of them.
What's the meat and potatoes of every card, especially a weekday card, right? Yep. Is the claiming races. the allowance races, the optional claiming / allowance races. Linda Rice will be a participant in many of those races. Chad Brown won't. That's not Chad Brown's forte. So take him out of the mix. He's going to win a bunch of races on the turf and on dirt, some on dirt, but the Pletchers, the Brad Coxes. Brad Cox is a little different because Brad Cox does have a mixture because he does claim for guys like Sandy Goldfarb and he's in action. So he's going to be formidable. But Linda Rice holds all the cards to winning the trainer's title.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, she's the best woman trainer, certainly, on the NYRA circuit. And, she's the smartest.
Yeah, she's astute.
You mentioned shippers, the shipper trainers. There was a time when, I used to track winners and where they came from, where they raced last, where they worked last as well. And I'm going to say the last decade, that most out-of-state trainers who have come to Saratoga on a regular basis have had some form of a string here in New York because of the purse structure. And more and more horses raced last on the NYRA circuit. The Kentucky boys have been staying home. As you pointed out in the conversation we had yesterday, racing in New York is an expensive affair. And, it took, just for example, it took Safi Joseph several seasons at Saratoga to get it right, where he became a bit of a factor.
Yes. All the trainers that come from Kentucky have had a bit of a learning curve. You take a guy like Joe Sharp. Joe Sharp, Eddie Keneally, Kinnan LaRuse / Tom Amos, who took over Tom Amos's barn. These guys are coming to New York with horses that fit the condition book.
Mm-hmm. It's out now.
Right. With the condition book.
Yeah.
With 2-year-olds, they're better 2-year-olds, right? You get a guy like Whit Beckman. He's had a year under his belt at Saratoga. The cost of doing business in New York, especially at Saratoga, where you have to raise your day rate and to pass it on to the owners so you could pay for housing for your help. You have to come to Saratoga with horses that fit the condition book. All those other horses will stay home. So that's what makes this game and the Saratoga meet so competitive, because these really fine horsemen, along with the New York horsemen, create a very competitive atmosphere. They're sharp. They come with ready horses. And now it becomes who takes to the surface, who's training well over the surface, how the track is playing, right? It makes it a real puzzle that makes this game so great because you want to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, we talked over the years that Belmont had always been a funky meeting because of being Big Sandy, the wide turns, the one turn miles. We haven't had to deal with that for 3 years at least, and Aqueduct, racing at Aqueduct which will sadly end in a couple of days, has always been okay for the ship to Saratoga, because they're going 9 furlongs, they're going 2 turns, they're going, they're racing a 1-turn mile, they're running a half-turn mile up here out of the chute. And so, the horses raced and shipped to New York from Aqueduct always looked a little different, a little better suited than the shippers who came from that wide, huge oval at Belmont Park.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that if you follow New York closely, Aqueduct, to prepare for Saratoga, you're going to find a few horses to bet back in the right spot next time out. But I profess to say that if you don't even follow it that closely, it's a whole new game when they open the gates at Saratoga.
Sure.
So one thing that I want to make mention about attacking Saratoga that's very important, and that nobody's really thinking about, is we saw it during the festival, that at the beginning of the meet, or they had not run at Saratoga for a while, right? For a whole year. And all of a sudden, you had this unbelievable bias.
Yes.
You could not close on the inner turf course. You could not go wide on the inner turf course and win. You had to be on the rail or inside at every distance. It was hard to close on the dirt. It was almost impossible to close on the outside part of the dirt. So what we had was a bias, both on turf and dirt. So you have to believe that the track at the beginning of the meet, we didn't even see the water trucks come out to try to even the track like we've seen in the past. Yeah. Whether it was a cost-cutting measure, or we just missed it. I was looking for it, but I didn't see it many times during the day. I think you need to watch how the track is playing, especially early in the meet, and adjust to the way the track is. And I think it's very important.
Well, Michael, we again, you and I have had this conversation for a long, long time. I'm glad you bring up the water trucks, because it's time to remind folks that if you look at a Saratoga race car, and every time you look at a Saratoga race car, when there are 2 turf races in a row before a dirt race, especially a dirt sprint, that they water the track 3 times. And invariably, the horses return in that first dirt race after 2 turf races as if they raced on a muddy track. The horses in the back of the pack are covered, and the horses who were racing up front are clean. And so what I'm here to tell you is your first Saratoga angle to pay attention to is 2 turf races in a row, anytime on the card, followed by a dirt race. And it's huge late in the day, because they'll run 2 turf stake races, and then like a maiden special race for the 12th or 11th or 10th race on the card. And you're not paying attention. The horses who make the lead after 2 turf races have an advantage. And if it's a quality horse, you can, in my opinion, you can pay attention and send it in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about the trainers. There's never really change. There's occasionally one or two new faces trying to break through. You mentioned Whit Beckman. There's Will Walden as well. Um, uh, Phil, now I'm thinking Phil Bauer. These are guys who have pretty much made their bones and are live.
Yeah, and in Philip Antonucci,
Yes.
he did well. I think Cherie DeVoe has a full stock of horses that she's going to be running. Um, Mott is always Mott. You have even under the radar claiming trainers that do a great job. Eat K Cantamarcy.
Mm-hmm.
That guy can win races. Um, Even a Tom Morley has some nice turf horses. David Duggan comes in with some nice New York breds.
I mean, I know he's your trainer. He's a solid, um, decent winning percentage trainer who does it right.
I mean, he's patient. He makes every start count. He specializes, obviously, his niche is New York breds. He's going to win races, and when he puts a horse on the track, they're ready to go. Whether they're good enough, that's one thing, but they're ready to go. A very, very high quality, under the radar horseman.
Let's talk a little bit about jockeys, and we'll leave the big name boys out of it. Edgar Zayas is riding very well these days.
I mean, he's a jockey. I know Safi Joseph likes to use him. He's a guy that comes from Florida, so he has Florida contacts. Very aggressive, very good on speed and tactical speed horses. Not as good on closers, but he's certainly a rider that you can't dismiss, with the right horse.
Yeah. Dylan Davis lit it up a couple of years ago. He suffered serious injury, missed a lot of time. He looks to have regained his form.
He's riding really well. He's peaking at the right time. Another guy that's riding very well is Javier Castellano. John Velasquez, always great on tactical speed horses. He's been riding in very good form. Name a few others. I mean, there's a bunch of them that are under the radar, other than the Ortiz brothers and the Pratt.
The jockey who rode for David, who on the day Walk With Me ran, Javier.
Well, there's Jamie Rodriguez,
yeah.
A very, very good rider, very smart, very strong finisher, very good on speed horses. I like him quite a bit, and trainers are using him on some really good horses. You have Kendrick Carmouche.
Right.
I mean, there's no better rider on a speed horse than him in New York. I mean, he's when he's on the right horse, he gets it done. Where we may see Paco Lopez make some appearances at Saratoga. He's another one. He gets the most out of a horse. There's some, I mean, these riders are really, really good, and they are going to be competing amongst themselves for supremacy in the higher rankings of jockeys in Saratoga, because the top riders will inevitably be Pratt, Irad, and Jose Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
Those three are obviously, no secret, are going to get the best horses from the best barns. And, but Pratt rides anything. And to me, he's the best of the three, and he is going to be awfully tough to beat. for leading rider. The guy is phenomenal.
Michael, let's talk briefly. Peter Brandt took horses from Chad Brown. You haven't talked about that and the impact of that on the horse world. Was that a surprise to you?
It was. It was, because I don't know the underbelly of the story.
I know that.
I don't know what happened, but something had to happen pretty serious if Peter Brandt, who has had a lot of success with Chad Brown, pulls his horses from him. I would love to know the story, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I know it's not Chad Brown saying goodbye to Peter Brandt and telling Peter Brandt, take your horses. It's Peter Brandt saying hasta la vista, baby, and that's a big loss. That's a big loss. I think he has a few of them that are in partnership with some other owners, but for the most part, and I really wonder if Peter Brandt is going to regret doing that, because Chad Brown really got the job done for him. So whatever it is, I don't know. I don't know. If you know, please email me. I'd like to, or even call me. I'd like to know the story, and I won't talk about it on air.
That's right. Well, it's not to air dirty laundry. It's just that, if you follow the game, you know the connections, and you've seen these same people, Seth Klarman, if you will, Peter Brandt. You've seen them walking these top horses into the winner's circle with Chad Brown. And when a change like that happens, your ears perk up. And no, we're not entitled to know the story,
right?
Okay, and it's none of our business. But the question is, okay, so how does that affect things like the run for the owner's title, and who might benefit from it? Certainly Chad would have preferred to keep the horses, but who's going to benefit? I think he gave them to 2 or 3 trainers. Clement, I know he gave some to Clement and Mott, and that. And another owner to talk about is a man I know you're familiar with, and his horses are a threat in every level at almost every track where he intends to operate, and that's Michael Dubb. He's almost never not in the middle of the owner's race at Saratoga. And
he has
Dubb and his partners, many partners.
Yeah, well, they have, they love to win at Saratoga. That's their, just like when I think of Dubb, I think of like the blue collar lunchbox owner, Roddy Valente. A different type of owner, but these are guys that are Saratoga, New York, right? They've supported the racing in New York and also supported in different ways outside of horse racing / betting. Dubb puts a lot of money in dormitories. He didn't he buy that new hotel and fix it up, the Adelphi, right? He's, Roddy Valente, a native of Albany. He always wins a race or 2 or 3 at Saratoga. And I mean, they have horses. They have good trainers. They have horses at different levels, right? The claiming stock, allowance, some stakes horses. So those are owners that point for the meat and get the job done.
Let's emphasize and talk about that phrase, pointing for the meat. Trainer owner intention for a boutique meet such as Saratoga begins probably 2 races before they ship up here, at least. I'm going to say it's a 2-race plan, and plans are finalized when the condition book is out. And I think this is as early as I recall the condition book being ready for Saratoga and post it on Equibase site. But let's talk a little bit about sniffing out, when you're handicapping and looking at shipping trainer or New York trainer, horses horses in the race that look like they've been pointed for this spot. What are you trying to find, or what do you see, or what sometimes jumps off the page?
Well, Tom, as you're well aware, I just don't play the game as a handicapper or a gambler. I'm a horse owner. We're 4 for 5 at Saratoga.
Yeah.
We probably have with a small amount of horses, we've put over some nice winners, right?
Yes, we have.
Now, so my mentality when I sit in the owner's chair is no different than everybody else. We want to win at Saratoga. That's number one. That's the year. There's nothing like winning at Saratoga. Now, to get there, you have to know your stock. You have to know what you can bring, how to get them ready. There's 1,000 ways to lose a race and only one way to win, and that's win. So when you want to sniff out a owner pointing for the meet, you can't really, everybody points to the meet. So basically it's, you do your work, you know who the players are. You think about it from the owner's chair, and that's the advantage of, like when we put over Street Trust, we put the horse on a dead rail at Colonial. Okay. We put the horse on the horse was on a dead rail. We got $17 in a 6-horse field on Labor Day. We won with Reddington. We won. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat for the win. But in the end, you have to hope the gods of racing are with you on that particular day. What's that expression? Best plans of mice and men, right? I have horses on pointing for Saratoga. First of all, do I get there? I hope so. Do I get into a field of killers? Right. I had a great interview today with Eddie F. That won with Butter on Belmont Stakes Day. Second time Cantamarcy. I asked him straight out, did you think you were going to win? And he goes, Wiz, I'm facing 13 horses. I'm down on the inside. He ran well 3 weeks ago. Do I think he's going to win? I pray to the Lord that he wins. Okay. So all that stuff, everybody wants to win at Saratoga. Everybody wants to cash a bet at Saratoga. Everybody wants to win at the end of the meet.
Well, what you said though, Michael, about you had a horse that was on a dead rail at Colonial. All right. Well, so you run that race and you look at the race and you say, well, it was on a dead rail. So we think if we find the right spot, we got a horse who's going to improve. That's what I'm talking about. You can't put a horse on it. I shouldn't say you can't. Biases come and go. You're never 100% when they open the gate that the bias from 2 races or 3 races before is going to exist when your horse gets to the rail. But the outcome of the race said my horse was compromised. So, what I was kind of asking you to talk about, or what are the other things that can happen in a race, or that a trainer and an owner can decide? Where do you place the horse? You know where you want to put him at Saratoga. So where are you putting him 1 or 2 races before you come out of here? That whole psychology of setting a horse up for the race you really want him to peak for, be it distance change, surface change, class change. You're planning for a rider who's more familiar with the horse and so on. Things like that. When you're looking at the PPs, you and I don't sit in any other owner's head but yours. Sometimes I get not to be in your head, but to know what's in your head. And so we don't know that. All we're looking at, all most people are looking at, we're looking at the past performances, and we're asking ourselves, why this spot? Why this spot today? And yes, everybody's pointing for and wants to win at Saratoga. Is this the spot they really want?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest type of race to predict the outcome or what you're saying is the claiming drop down.
No.
Okay, so you take a 50 claimer and he's in for 20, 25. Are they playing poker? What are they doing? It's a guess, only they know what they're going to do. At Saratoga, you get the $600,000 horse dropped into maiden claim. I know. I think the hardest type of bet is a field of first-time starters, 2-year-olds. But I always make a crystal ball best bet a couple times a meet on one of those because I get information. Okay. So that's the work you put in the mornings or wherever, socializing, going to the backstretch. That's a little edge on my part, right? If I'm looking for some edges, it's my relationships, okay? That I want to know that, I'm not going to bury a horse on a sheet. Don't give me the horse, okay? Don't tell me that, you're going to put a horse over and I have to bury it because I'm not going to do it. But I think that the best horse you're talking about comes at 8 o'clock in the morning at Price Chopper at the back of the desk when I'm 3/4 of the way sipping my large Starbucks coffee, and something that I've dug up in the PPs just hits me like a ton of bricks. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I win more of those than lose, or I at least get a good run. Okay.
And that's all you want.
Maybe it rounds out the exacta, right? Maybe it rounds out, I had one on Oaks Day that was a ball horse that I made who went off at 24-1. And it was off something that just stuck out in its debut. And I expected the horse to wire the field in a 10 or 12 horse field. It got the lead and it got nailed in the shadow of the wire by the favorite. I didn't win the race, but we made a nice score because we had the exact and it paid like $170 with the favorite. Okay. So you don't have to win a race to cash a ticket and show a profit. You just got to map out the right bet.
Right.
And construct it.
Let's shift from Saratoga actual racing to the fact that come this Saratoga meeting, you're going to be revamping, reshaping your product, the betting window, which is your selection sheet with your recommendations for how to play the races. And we've mentioned it on other shows, but we're going to mention it again because it's important. So lay out for the audience how the betting window is going to change and when it's going to debut.
Well, it's supposed, if all goes well, it's supposed to debut opening day of Saratoga. You'll see the change. Not
4th of July or 4th of July.
Yes, July
4th
3rd.
of July. Okay.
That's my target date.
You have to understand that I get confused because there's been so many opening days at Saratoga each year.
Is I got a question for you.
Sure.
Are there 2 opening days? I mean, is there?
No, but the point is that last year was the first 4th of July festival, and because of the calendar, there were like 6 days between the festival and opening day. Like opening day last year was like the 14th to the 15th. Okay, well this year opening day is the 10th, and so when you finish with the 4th, you got a normal spacing between the weekend racing and opening day. You know,
Yeah.
So that it's not confusing, and I don't even know what NYRA calls it. They call it festival, and then it's opening day. So
I'm hoping everything works out and I can have it on July 3rd. So I've been working on this product a lot of years, and I usually have 3 products. I have the full card, which is the write-ups on all the horses, and the crystal ball best bets. I have the betting window, and then I have the combined 2. I have 1 product. And what I believe is less writing, cash more tickets. Let me spend more time on the handicapping. Let me spend more time on constructing the tickets for you. And let me spend more time telling you my strength of conviction.
Okay.
And less writing. I will write a small, explanation of the race, how I think it sets up. I'm free to say anything I want in a few lines, but only a few lines. The basic bones of the sheet is the bets, strength of conviction, the selections, and a special bet that I've created that I don't want to talk about that bet. I want it to be a surprise. It's never been a bet that's even been talked about or thought about, but it's a low risk, high return investment wager. It keeps you engaged through the day, where that $10 bet, by the end of the last bet, you could be riding $150 on this proposition, and you can make the bet. It takes a little work on your ADW or at the windows, but it's a bet that's easily made. So all this is basically, let me handicap, let me construct the wagers and tell you how strongly I feel about the bet, and forget about all the writing. Because in the end, nobody cares about all the writing. They care about, did I win or lose today? And this gives me a better chance to help you win, in my opinion.
So, opinion. You've traditionally just had your crystal ball best bets. What are you adding?
The Diamond Scepter.
Oh.
So the Diamond Scepter is that rare play. That's that play that I spotted a horse going to a dead rail at Colonial Downs. Mm-hmm. He's coming up to New York. He's switching from a bad rider to Joel Rosario, right? And the horse is bred up the wazoo, and a wet track is coming, and he's a wet track freak. Okay, I just giving you an illustration of the kind of horse. It ain't going to be a favorite. It's going to be a horse I really like at fair odds, where we can take a shot and make a score. And you don't know when the Scepter is arriving. Mm-hmm. I don't know until 8 o'clock in the morning that day at Price Chopper, when I'm 3/4 of the way through my Starbucks, when I've made my turkey sandwich from the bread and the turkey meat that I've taken out and will pay for after I leave. That's when I come up with that horse. And that is that rare, let's go for the jugular.
Okay, so you'll have the Diamond Scepter, you'll still have the crystal balls, and then 2 other descriptors.
Well, you have the no bet. So they're basically diamonds.
Yeah.
So the zero diamond, no diamond is no bet. And that's a rarity for me. That's almost as rare as the Diamond Scepter because I love to bet. Okay. But that will be a bet, a no bet. Then you have one, which is just a modest opinion. Two diamonds is a stronger opinion. It's laid out that you know how it's not as strong as the crystal ball. All crystal balls are three diamonds. A four diamond play is reserved for the scepter.
Okay. Now, Michael, I just want to say something else. And I know this is deep in your philosophy. Your top two horses, they're what you're leaning on. Those
Right.
they've really got to run. They've got to run. You expect them to run. You pick them and you expect them to run. And when they run and when they win or hit the board, then the constructed bet is highly likely to deliver. But it's about those two horses running, correct? I mean, and now I'm really talking about, when you're handicapping. I mean, you're you, and when someone else handicaps, how do they construct a ticket based on the horses they expect to run, which is what you're doing on the sheet? You understand what I'm getting at here? They got to run.
They got to run, but you have to do the whole card. And then you by doing the whole card, it allows you to determine, is there a pick 4 play?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a pick 3 play? Is every race determines based on your handicapping the type of wager you want to make.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at.
So basically, in the case you're making, I might really like my top horse a lot more than my second horse. I make the second, third, and fourth horses kind of equal. So I'm going to lean on my top horse.
Yeah.
In a trifecta or an exacta or a win bet if the price I think is going to be right. But in the situation that you're talking about, where I like my top two horses, I might do in a trifecta a 2x4 by all. In a 12-horse field, it's $30 for 50 cents. If I think the payoff, I like the all button a lot. Not all the time, but I like it more than I don't like it, especially in large turf fields, because that big long shot comes in third. It makes the number.
Yeah.
Right. And I might come back and press it, taking my top two with four horses, or add a fifth horse in. So that ticket becomes $12 or $10 as an additional press on. But none of my tickets they all range between $30 and maybe a pick four, $64. Like, I'm not giving $100 play.
No, I know that.
I'm staying within the range, the affordable range for you. And I put it to the lowest common denominator so that it's like, if it's a 50-cent play, if you can make that 50-cent play, I want it to, because you can always make it $2. You can make it, if the ticket's $12 for 50 cents and you want to bet it for $1, just times it by 2 and make it $24. That's up to you and your budget.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've lived with you as you've worked your way in developing the new product. I'm anxious as you are to see you get it to come to fruition. And did you should just say that there'll no longer be a big sheet or a full card sheet?
One product.
Okay. See, I wasn't clear about that. That's one. Okay.
One product for all the marbles.
Good for you.
And then you have two other products, the pick of the day.
Yeah.
And the simulcast best bets.
Yeah.
And that includes all the crystal ball horses from the 2 tracks that I'm doing. So it's like 6 or 7 plays, which includes the pick of the day and the special bet from both those tracks.
Okay.
But as far as the products, 1 product, that's it.
Okay.
The 3 products, it's all over. That's it.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to the end of this discussion, both the Saratoga and the updated, upgraded, opinionated betting window. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to remind you to look for Michael's interviews. He mentioned Eddie Fazone, Eddie Fazone. Everybody who comes to Saratoga is aware and knows Fast Eddie. He runs the lobster shop. We love the chowder man and the lobster man.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Eddie F's chowder is a lot better than the potato soup they put out at the other stand. And that's what they should call it, potato soup, not clam chowder.
Thank you for joining us. You have a great week.
Bye-bye.